So, hi everyone, my name is Michelle and I am an advisor on the SRA Hub. Today's webinar will be on resume basics. So, it'll be a pretty fun game where you guys can guess the answers or guess if it's true or false. So, let me show you my screen and then we'll get started. All right, so we call it the resume basics game, but basically it's going to go over some, pretty important things you have to keep in mind when you're either making a resume or trying to improve it or refresh it. So it's a series of questions. So hiring managers on average spend X amount of time reviewing your resume. So you guys can kind of shout out your answer. I can't really hear you, but I think it'll be more interactive and fun. So how long do you guys think they spend on each resume? It's actually pretty short, a maximum of 30 seconds. So they don't, spend 5 minutes or even 10 minutes, which is what a lot of students think. They only spend 30 seconds, which is why it's so important that you guys kind of keep in mind all these tips in this webinar because they don't have a lot of time for them. So how many pages should your resume be? Should be about 1 page. Includes your education, your experiences, relevant clubs or honors, and of course, any volunteer work or work experience you have. Just keep it under 1 page, no more than 1 page. True or false? Your resume should include information from elementary, middle, and high school. It's kind of a tricky one. So it's false. So I will say that it can be true depending on how old you are. So if you're in high school, obviously it's okay to put things from elementary, middle, or high school. Try to keep it within high school. But if you're, let's say, a college student, let's say a freshman or sophomore, you don't want to have anything from elementary, middle school for sure. But if there's something relevant from high school, you can put it. So don't list all your high school extracurriculars, but only relevant ones. So let's say you're trying to find a summer internship in, related to coding or the tech field. And in high school, you were part of, maybe Girls Who Code, or maybe you were in a science-related internship, like you were a high school explainer at the Exploratorium. So if it's related, then you can put it. If you're a sophomore or freshman in college, if you're, let's say, a senior or ready to graduate and look for a job, it's probably not smart to put anything from high school because they're going to expect that you have a lot of experiences in clubs from college. So keep that in mind. This answer really depends on how old you are. True or false? A few mistakes on your resume are okay. You will have a chance to impress the employer during your interview. So this is definitely false, right? You don't want to have any mistakes on your resume, even if it's something small like not capitalizing something, because the truth is, you will never get to an interview if you don't impress them with your resume. So don't think like, if I just have a couple mistakes here and there, it's fine. I'll just kind of wow them in the interview. It's like, no, that's what resumes are for, so that they can get you to the next round. So have someone proofread it. True or false? Your resume should be colorful and have a unique design to catch the employer's attention. So in general, it's false. You don't want it to be so, colorful or unique that they don't know how to read it. You know what I mean? Like if you have different sections, if it's not the traditional way that it's set up, it can be confusing for them, especially if they're just looking at it for 30 seconds. So try to avoid anything too colorful or bright that maybe hurt their eyes, or any designs that will make it difficult for them to follow. Of course, it kind of depends on what field you're going into. So maybe if you're going into like graphic designing or fashion, you could be a little bit more creative. But in general, maybe it'd be helpful to have someone look over it to see if they can follow your resume. But if you're not sure, just avoid it altogether. True or false? Unpaid work experience, like volunteer work, should be included on your resume. True. So any kind of experience, whether it's paid or not, is still experience. So definitely put them on there. What are resumes used for? To get you an interview. I think you kind of know that already. It could be an interview for a job. It could be for an internship. It could be for a research assistant position. Even if they don't ask for one, I would still include it. So if you're really interested in researching for a professor, maybe you'll email them and say, hey, I'm really interested in helping out in your lab. Are there any research opportunities coming up? And even though, he or she doesn't ask for a resume, or you're just, sending a cold email, they didn't even ask for any research assistant, I would still include my resume because it basically does all the talking for you and can help you go further in the process. So not just for interview, but just kind of moving forward. So how can you build your resume? So how do you build it up? So you can join clubs and organizations on campus and hold leadership positions when possible. You want part-time jobs or internship. So if you know what you're majoring in or what career you want to go into, that's great. Try to tailor your clubs and organizations and jobs toward it. Not everything that you have to do has to relate to it, but it definitely helps you build your resume. If you're not quite sure what you want to major in or what kind of career you want to pursue, it's okay. Just try to get as much experience and join different clubs or go to the general meetings just to check it out to see what you like, because in the end, it's still experience and you can add that on your resume and you'll get something out of it. But these are really great ways to build your resume. True or false? Oh, and one more thing I want to say about that is, especially if you're a freshman in college or sophomore, or even like a sophomore or freshman in high school, try to join early, because in order to get those leadership positions, you generally have to be in the club or the sport or the job or internship for multiple years. So start that exploration now. Don't wait until senior year and expect to be a leader in the club. True or false? You should always include references on your resume. So you don't want to, it's false. You don't want to include references on your resume. You guys know that that's like a separate document, like a reference list, or sometimes employers ask for you to email them your references, but your resume is not the place to put your references. All right. True or false? You should have a simple and professional email listed on your resume. I think everyone knows the answer to that is true. So make sure to have a professional email and put that on your resume, and of course, check it every single day. The most relevant information should be on the blank part of the page. What do you guys think? Top, middle, bottom? As you guys could probably guess, probably the top half of the page. So generally, you still want like your name and your address and the heading and maybe your education. But when it comes to experience, you want to either do it chronologically, but for me, I do it by what's most relevant to the job that I'm applying to. So even though it's not in chronological order, it's still it's in order of relevance. So that's how I would recommend students do it too. Typically, how many versions of your resume will you complete before submitting to an employer? I guess it depends on each individual person, but at least 3 to 4 versions. So yeah, no one's going to have a perfect resume, when they start writing it out. So it usually takes about 3 to 4 versions to get it perfect. And then that's when you can submit it. Should you use paragraph or bullet point format on your resume? So keeping in mind that they only have 30 seconds, I would say go with the bullet points. When will you start using resume? That's a good question. Now! So it doesn't matter if you're in college, it doesn't matter if you're in high school. it's something that you can use now, and you guys know that we have a resume builder on the Hub. I can show you guys that later, but yeah, you can start using it now. If you're a senior in high school, what I always recommend is to give your teacher recommender or your counselor who's writing your recommendation or coach your resume so that they can write a stronger letter that not only talks about you as a student, but you as a person, and it just gives a better idea of what you've accomplished. So you can use it now. Yes or no? You can use the same resume if you are applying to a babysitting position and a marketing internship. Answer is no. You want to cater your resume to each job that you're applying to. I know it's kind of tedious and extra work, but it definitely makes a difference, because in the end, the resume is telling the employer if you're a good fit or not. So if the more you can tailor it and customize your resume for the job, the better. So what I do is I look up the job description. Usually they're in bullet points too, and I look at my own experience and see which ones are a good match for different responsibilities that whoever they're hiring for is looking for, and then I would cater my resume based on what's in their job description. So when they see my resume, they're like, oh yeah, this girl's like the perfect fit for this company or this job. So that's a really easy way to cater your resume, is by looking at their job description. Should you list your most relevant experience first or last? In general, it's first, but this kind of goes back to what we talked about. I like to do my resume in order of relevance, but even when I have it in order of relevance, I do want it to be in somewhat chronological order too. So it really depends. If you're not sure, you can always send us your resume and maybe the job that you're looking for, and we can kind of help you figure out the order of things. But generally, you want to have your most recent experience first. True or false? I already have a resume. I don't need SRA's help. Thanks though, smiley face. So I think I'm a little biased, but I'm going to say this is false. Because, like I said, you need at least 3 to 4 versions, and maybe you feel really good after your second version, and you're like, oh, maybe I should have someone else look at it. We'll be more than happy to do that for you, so feel free to email us and share your resume with us, and then we can give you tips. All right, other than an internship, what are some other things I can do to have a productive summer? So think about that for a little bit. But besides having an internship, how do I make the most out of my summer so that it benefits me in my future? You can study abroad. You can volunteer. You can go to summer school. You can work. I did all these, and in the end, even though I wasn't doing an internship, I was still able to put something on my resume that either helped me get the job that I want, or just gave me new experience or allowed me to meet new people. So, yes, it's great to have an internship during the summer, and that's really going to help propel you into the career that you're seeking. But, if it doesn't happen, there are other ways to build your resume and to make the most out of your summer or winter break or spring break. What is the #1 thing employers look for when hiring recent college grads? So what do you think that is? Internship experience, or just experience in general. You can get experience not only from an internship, right, but from a job or from volunteering. And the reason why they look for that is if you have internship experience, they assume that, hey, one, how to do the job because you've had experience in the field, but 2, how to work with different colleagues and collaborate with other teams within the company. So yeah, that is the #1 thing to look for. So if you're freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, start looking into internships. You guys know we have a job and internship board on the SRA Hub. So that's one place you can start looking. True or false, you should only put your GPA on your resume if it is 3.0 or above. So it's true. So if you have below a 3.0, I would just leave it out. If you have a 3.5 or higher for a college GPA, I would definitely put it. But the rule would be 3.0 or higher. And that's our presentation on resumes. So I'll show you guys how to get to our resume builder. If you guys have any questions, feel free to type them in now while I show you guys that really quickly. So once you guys log into the SRA Hub, you'll see this area, Tools. Click on Tools, and then you'll see your resume builder. All you have to do is create resume and name it. I'm just going to put my name for now. Sorry, guys. And it's basically going to help you fill out the section. If I were you, I would download it as a Word document so that you can adjust it a little bit more or customize it a little bit more in terms of font and sizing. And maybe you don't have any honors or affiliation, you can take that out if you download it as a Word document. Or you'll see that we don't have a volunteer section, so if you download it as a Word, you can include a volunteer section. All right, so doesn't look like we have any questions, so I will launch the post survey, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them. Okay, I think everyone pretty much responded, but you should customize your resume for different types of jobs. It's true, you should definitely do that. And on average, managers spend about 30 seconds. So great job. All right, well, if there are no questions, I'll let you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. Thanks for joining us on this webinar, and I will see you guys on the Hub. Bye.